he, he may say nothing. Yeah, I'm doing it anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the American Sci-Fi Classics Track. It is Thursday night, and we are doing what we do best, which is take you away from your job and or your family and your responsibilities and talk about nerdy stuff for a few minutes. Tonight we're celebrating the Willennium. 20 years in, we are celebrating the Gary Mitchell.
We're celebrating me?
We're celebrating Gary
20
Mitchell.
years in.
It's like a reverse
We're
Lenny
celebrating the Gary Mitchell.
It's a reverse Lenny and Squiggy. I said, we're celebrating. And then Gary walks in.
Hello.
Hello.
Nice. Nicely done. But what we're doing tonight is we are talking about Will Smith and the transformation from novelty rap star to for a long time America's biggest action hero, and now he does other things. Now he's a dramatic actor in some things, but oh my goodness, has anyone had, actor-wise, such a transformation is my question to you guys. But first, let's introduce everybody, because I got off track because I was so focused on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Ladies and gentlemen, one internet south of me, Gary Mitchell.
Hello, everybody. I am getting jiggy with it, and I'm going to make Joe jiggy. There, Jiggy Joe. Jiggy.
That's what I wanted to hear, Sherman. And one internet diagonally from me, our pal Sherman.
Hello. How's everybody tonight? I don't have my camera attached, but I was an ethereal laughter you just heard a moment ago. So
Nice. And one internet north of Sherman is Jonathan. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Happy to be here. And my first concert ever, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, was direct support for Run DMC.
Nice.
How cool is that?
You, sir, have definitely earned your bona fides with that.
Top notch. I, of course, I thought Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff were hilarious. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden they were in a little sitcom that now I think is incredibly fondly remembered, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Did all of you guys watch it every single week?
I think you had to. It was a law.
I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it every single week because I had made, at its early inception, the terrible mistake of saying to my younger brother, "This show won't last very long." And of course, I was proven very, very wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. It had he had not already done movies or any movies by the time he did Fresh Prince. He just went from the novelty guy to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And that show, surprisingly dramatic episodes. There were a few of those, but they didn't seem as they didn't have the same tone as the very special episodes that plagued so many other sitcoms. And I dug it. I thought it was a fun show. What were you guys well, I guess we talked about that. Here's a question. Is the Fresh Prince's theme music, is that the last good TV theme song?
I'm going to say yes, just to be contrary.
Well, I was actually going to posit that as a yes myself because I think so. Let me go ahead.
Other than Faith of the Heart from Enterprise, Star Trek Enterprise, that's the last.
Yeah.
I'm being facetious.
And I will let's see it. Let me see. Yep. Fresh Prince debuted in 1990. Star Trek Enterprise. When was that? I'm using my computer. 2001. All right, yes. But there was a long gap between 90 and 2001.
Mm-hmm.
That
yeah. Well,
Enterprise premiered the same month as 9/11. So yeah.
Oh wow.
So we were a little distracted.
Yeah, thankfully nothing else bad happened that month, right?
I mean,
no.
So
well, I got yelled at by an alligator wrestler, but other than that,
there you go. Okay. I need clarification. Was it a wrestler that was an alligator, or a human that wrestled alligators?
It was a human who wrestled with alligators. He wasn't a very good one because he was missing multiple digits.
What?
Yeah, that's a career path. You tend to either be very good or not.
Yeah.
Well, at least he committed to it. If he lost multiple digits.
Yeah, he didn't just just quit after the first.
No, you lost your middle finger. Yeah, but I'm sticking with this. I think I can do it.
I got 9 more.
I got 2 middle fingers, exactly.
Brings a whole new meaning to the phrase. He gave that alligator the finger.
He literally did give that alligator the finger. So,
well, I think though we do have to talk a bit about his start with Jazzy Jeff, and they started out, like you said, as a novelty act, which for a lot of people, especially rappers in the late '80s, you were a one and done. I mean, yeah. I love Young MC, but what else has he done? I mean, and yes, Young MC, please, fans, hardcore fans, yes, I know, multiple albums.
Sure,
please send your hate mail to hatemail@whatthecast.com. But I mean, for the general pop music public,
and I'm going to actually put Gary's real address. I'm not.
Bust a Move is pretty much the only thing that they know Young MC for. But, they did Girls on Ain't Nothing But Trouble, and then they did Parents Just Don't Understand, which that's where I first heard him. I had a friend in high school who was my gateway drug into rap, who was just like, oh, you've got to hear this. And I'm like, no, man, I don't think I like this rap stuff. And he's like, no, listen to this. He played me Parents Just Don't Understand. I'm like, okay, this is funny.
It is. I don't think I'm going to like this rap stuff.
There was also Nightmare on My Street.
Yes.
Oh, what a great song that is. That's a Halloween classic now. That's but we assumed that was all there was going to be for Will Smith.
Yeah.
And we were like, well, okie doke. That's it's pretty fun, but we figured that was all it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then he did Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I want to say that, and DJ Jazzy Jeff was a supporting cast member of that show. So
yeah, but you were watching for Uncle Phil and Will.
Oh my gosh, Carlton.
Oh yeah, I can still do the Carlton. Don't make me, but I can.
No, that'll happen in live action Dragon Con. It is very unusual, Gary. When
yes.
No, that I just dug it. It's a little 30-minute show. The jokes, the timing on this dude who is just a rapper. Am I not mistaken in saying that this might be apocryphal? I might have just heard this. Didn't the Fresh Prince, wasn't he the first rap act to win a Grammy?
Let me go to the interwebs.
One of the first.
Yeah. And to answer a question from our buddy Lola in the chat, yeah, Will Smith is from Philadelphia.
Born and raised.
He was
Born and raised.
Yes.
Yeah. It's also but talking about the way, the fact that it's a good theme music. It's also one of the last sitcoms where the theme music gave you the plot. Like Green Acres, where they move out to whatever. It tells the story. Yeah. This kid in Philadelphia kicked to bel-air because some guys were rough in the neighborhood.
They were up to no good, Gary.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
first rap, and the first award for best rap performance was presented to DJ Jazzy Jeff and the French Prince.
French Prince.
That's a coffee.
That's a complete
you see, that's the European Eurovision knockoff version.
Yeah.
But in 1989, for Parents Just Don't Understand.
Now on the
right.
on the MTV remote control game show, young Adam Sandler had a recurring character called the French Prince. So that may be. I'm going to give. I think Gary was channeling remote control. That is
always.
Yeah, always.
But it was a heck of a show, though. I mean, sure, it was the standard, Friday night sitcom shenanigans, but they would do things like they'd break the fourth wall.
Yeah.
My favorite being, we're so rich, why can't we afford a roof? And the camera pans up to show the studio ceiling.
Forgot all about that.
Yeah, but I mean, and it could have just been a vanity project of, this kid's kind of popular, let's make a show, and flopped after a season. But there was some there. And we can't understate how much of that is effective. Let's see an affluent black family on TV.
And it wasn't exactly. The show wasn't about how they, like the Jeffersons. It wasn't how they surprisingly got rich, and it was. But Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil, both professionals in their fields, who earned the money and were well educated, and it was a weird. I think, the Cosby Show a few years earlier had also done that, but the fact that we can think of two, and that's pretty much it right off the top. There's that was ridiculous, but and I think that show has stuck with us for those reasons. But then after the Fresh Prince, and he kept doing music. Oh, go ahead.
Summertime was great.
Summertime. That song came out like the year before I graduated college, and it was everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that what really got a lot of people, I know what worked for me to actually pay attention to him as an actor as opposed to just a novelty rap. Oh, yeah, okay. He had the bravado. He had the, that you would expect of a rap star and all this. Although he was a safe rapper, he wasn't like dangerous like a lot of others. Yeah, he was
right before gangster rap emerged. So yeah,
right.
It was kind of,
but the episode with his dad. And at the end of it, when he has the breakdown talking about how he doesn't need him and doesn't miss him, and then just breaks and why doesn't he want me? And I mean, it just tears your heart out. That was when I was like, oh shit, this guy can act.
And there's layers. This dude, and you don't expect it. It came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And but yeah, this show, and it's they made a big deal out of it in the last year with the launch of the Peacock app. Fresh Prince streaming on there, all of it. And they did a reunion show. They addressed the fact that they replaced Aunt Viv after the first season, I think. They had both Aunt Vivs were on the reunion show. And it was a very controversial at the time for the first Aunt Viv.
Yes.
But apparently they've reconciled now, and so it ends well, hopefully. But still fun. Still, it's not really. It's not dated when you watch it today. Do you think, Jonathan?
Well,
have you seen an episode recently?
I honestly haven't revisited it a lot, but I would think that it's somewhat dated just because it is very 90s centric. But I guess topically it's not. Like the themes probably are kind of universal.
Yeah.
And you don't expect them to come about. You know, you're watching it and all of a sudden, you know, the stuff with Will's dad, like you said, Gary, it's not they didn't make a big deal out of very special episodes.
No, it just came up.
No.
Like the episode with Carlton where they were applying for the frat. And it's like, oh, crap, these people are racist. We got to go.
I forgot all about that. So seek out Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So fun. I really enjoyed, and there's no reason really for it to have made the impact that it did. I love the first Bad Boys movie.
It's phenomenal.
Really good. The thing about the movie is, for me, of course, Martin at the time, also a sitcom star, Martin Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
And generally, when a sitcom actor or an actor known for this one thing goes and does another thing, like gets in big budget movies, they either do kind of the same thing they did on their TV career, or anyway, you don't see more than one of them do it at the same time. But Will could have just had a regular old cop actor as his sidekick or partner, but he brought another guy who did the same thing he did, more or less. And they're both
rival
great.
Network.
Yeah. Of course, but yeah, the Martin sitcom also hilarious, and this is how many times I've seen it. Of course, Michael Bay. Now, was this Michael Bay's first action movie? Where
Michael Bay. No, I think he had done The Rock first. He was. That's kind of the movie that cemented his Bayness, as it were. It was Bad Boys was first. I'm sorry, I had it backwards. Bad Boys was 95. The Rock was 96, and The Rock is the one that pretty much cemented Bay. I mean, he'd done commercials and stuh. Yeah, but they gave him Bad Boys, and then The Rock, and both of those took off, and then they did Armageddon, and that's when he became, the Michael Bay.
Okay,
Michael
all
Bay
right.
actually appears as himself in a movie too.
Oh yeah,
well, not as himself, but in Mystery Men. He's one of the frat boys in Mystery Men.
Oh, that's right.
That's
okay.
Yeah, but Lola was asking if this was his breakout role. His actual breakout role was 93, 6 Degrees of Separation, where he wowed a lot of people with that dramatic performance. But then it was in 95 with Bad Boys, where it was just like, okay, this is somebody to pay attention to. Jonathan, what did you think of Bad Boys when it dropped?
Yeah, Jonathan.
Bad Boys, I like. I'm not generally a Michael Bay fan, but I think Bad Boys is good. Armageddon, not so much, but this is not a Michael Bay panel.
Nope. We might do one.
We'll do one of those at some point.
But yeah, I actually rewatched Bad Boys. I think a little more than a year ago when the new one was out.
Yeah.
I rewatched the first two.
Because of the continuity, right? You got to make sure that all the storylines make sense.
Yeah, which is not a strength of Michael Bay, but
it's not.
But yeah, and it holds up well. The first one.
Yeah, it's a standard straight up, it's your standard buddy comedy movie, but it's elevated by both Bay's visual style and Smith and Lawrence's performances. It's not just it's not a. It probably started out as a Lethal Weapon rehash, but they managed to go in a unique enough direction with it. I was like, okay, this is pretty good. What about you, Sherman?
Yeah,
I never saw it. It didn't
What?
have enough robots or lasers in it. It wasn't science
But it
fiction enough
had
for me, so I didn't even bother watching it.
Sir,
I'll kick you right out of here.
Yeah.
I'll put you in the grab room.
Not the sunken place. No.
The sunken place. But speaking of Michael Bay, my I like two memories of the first Bad Boys. They're chasing a bad guy, and Will Smith and Martin Lawrence come around a corner with guns in their hands, and their shirts are open, and it's a slow motion shot of them doing a Bionic Man run, in slow mo. And their shirts are open, and both of these dudes, comedians are not healthy. Well, they don't. No comedians look like this, and I was just amazed. And then at a pivotal point in the movie, Martin Lawrence does what should have been a nationwide catchphrase when the camera zooms in on him, and he tells the bad guy, "You forgot your boarding pass," and then boom, 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 and I think a plane blows up because it's my favorite. But so good, and go ahead.
and Lola, that's Joe breaking up, not you. That is Joe getting the slow mo there.
It's a me. So so there's that, and Bad Boys was good, but
then he follows that with Independence Day.
Yeah,
and I think that for me was the movie that cemented him as this is the guy to watch. He is now.
Exactly. That movie started with the very beginning chunk of the movie is Will Smith, and then the other ensemble players come in, but they position Will Smith in the same spot that a Bruce Willis would have been in, or a why is the first name I think of Tom Selleck? Tom Selleck would not have been in this position because of Quigley
Harrison
Down
Ford,
Under.
maybe?
That's why. He would have been if Quigley Down Under had been a thing.
Yes.
But,
But yeah, and apparently when they were writing the movie, when they came up with that character, they wrote it for Smith. So I don't know what it had done if he hadn't signed on, because he makes that part. I mean, I remember watching it with my friends at the release, and we all walked out and we just were quoting his lines the whole time. I gotta get me one of these. Oh, you did not shoot that green. And of course, the immortal "Welcome to Earth."
Boom. Amazing. I mean, he's the anchor for the whole flick.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, you got to give props to Goldblum, but
of course. Yeah, and another thing, he does a buddy comedy stuff with Jeff Goldblum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sherman, what did you think of ID4?
I liked it. I actually went to see that in the theater.
You did see that movie. One, okay?
I did see that one. It was science fiction enough. Yes, science fiction enough for me to go see it in the movie theater. I mean, I was working on a budget because I worked at a grocery store bagging groceries, so I had to spend my money wisely at that point. So yeah.
I also worked at a grocery store, and I did not spend my money wisely. So.
See, Sherman, now you need to start a blog series called "Just Science Fiction Enough."
Just
yeah.
What do you think of the movie, Jonathan, of ID4 and Smith in it?
Oh well, we just did a whole panel on that.
We actually did, yeah,
a month ago, not even a month ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Well, go back and watch that, people.
Yeah, stop here. No, wait. Finish watching this one, and then go back and watch that one.
I love that movie. I still love it, and it's
Yeah.
Definitely, he definitely stood out in that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jessa and I watched it for Independence Day just recently, and it was like, yeah, it still holds up.
It really does. And well, Goldblum had done Jurassic Park by that time, but he'd
Yes.
been in 20, 30 other movies, and he had not been funny Jeff Goldblum, hilarious Jeff Goldblum until ID4 and Jurassic Park. And part of
The
it,
Fly was definitely not a comedy.
yeah,
No.
you're correct. But part of that,
Well, it depends on your sense of humor.
it does.
I personally find it hilarious.
Yeah, but the combo package of him and of Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith. I think Jeff Goldblum pulled
And
all
Pullman.
they pulled each other up.
Yeah. Well,
I
anything you
was
could
real
say about
surprised by Harry
ID4,
Connick
yeah. Yeah, Harry Connick Jr. was on a roll there. He'd done that and Copycat, and I thought he was going to go somewhere, and his career just kind of went, no, I'm going to go back to music. I'm done. See ya.
Yeah, I'm good. And then 1 year later, after Independence Day was enormous, 1 year later, Will Smith again, Men in Black.
Yes.
Yeah, another buddy cop movie.
And he did the theme song for that, so that was combining his music and his acting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I just listened to that song today. Technically speaking for this panel, but look, I'll put on Will Smith. I don't care.
Research.
It's research. But
Yeah, which is also worth noting that song was the first was on his first solo album when he finally cut himself free of Jazzy Jeff, who'd been holding him back. No insult to Jazzy Jeff fans. No, send your hate mail to.
Actually, I at some point I went down an internet rabbit hole and looked for DJ Jazzy Jeff, and they actually have kept working together. They just didn't call themselves Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that Jeff was in the gutter somewhere. I mean, he was.
He used to be.
He still tours.
Exactly.
He still tours.
He still tours?
Yeah, he played in Atlanta. I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. I want to say.
Yeah. So there you go.
Cool.
Well, he was sort of the background guy anyway in DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince anyway. So he wasn't all that until it got to the comedy series. He was in the background spinning the records.
He was the DJ. Thank you, Sherman.
Yeah.
By definition, DJ Jazzy Jeff was the DJ. But no, good stuff.
Men in Black was just that was a phenomenon. It was a great script. It was a great role. He and Tommy Lee Jones had such fantastic chemistry.
And again, that's Will Smith, relatively new actor, and going and teaming up with a grizzled veteran and pulling stuff out of that grizzled veteran that, I mean, who knew that Tommy Lee Jones could be hilarious?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. You expect, by that time you expected a certain thing out of Will Smith, but we didn't have any expectations for Tommy Lee Jones. And, oh my gosh, in a lot of ways, he's the best thing about the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and apparently he kept trying to be funny, and the director was like, no. The more deadpan you are, the funnier this is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, the first thing I saw Tommy Lee Jones in was Coal Miner's Daughter.
Mm.
Yeah,
not science fiction at all, but I didn't have any choice in going to the movie, so there you go.
I think for me it was the Executioner song, which is the feel-good movie of the summer.
Yeah, that's oh my gosh, yeah, that's a laugh riot. That Executioner song. Oh my gosh. Because if you really want comedy, the name of comedy is Tommy Lee Jones. Mm-hmm. So Men in Black was kind of, and it's weird to think of a time when there weren't multiple superhero universes happening at all around the movie theaters, and I'm very happy that it's difficult to remember such a time, because back in those olden times, we would get one big sci-fi movie a year. Now we're getting them all the time. But Men in Black was such a big deal, and Will Smith kept doing stuff, and I believe his and of course the sequels also relatively fun. You know, the Men in Black idea, the whole Men in Black thing, they should have done 10 movies. They could have, but
the cartoon series was certainly better than the third movie was.
I think that is not an overstatement, Mr. Sherman. No, the cartoon series was now in the cartoon. Did the two actors or the characters?
Well, same characters, but not the same.
I'm sure. But did they? Did they
had the same dynamic though?
Did they behave like Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones? Oh, okay. Well, all right. Yeah. Well, those are out there somewhere. I'm.
Yeah, the veteran and the noob. Yeah, they definitely had the same dynamic.
Yeah.
Now,
then he did Enemy of the State, which was a really fun thriller. But I think the most important thing to talk about next, though, is that they offered him Neo in The Matrix, and he turned it down to do Wild Wild West.
That's right. Yeah.
Was that his first mistake? I feel like
it was definitely a mistake.
But I gotta say, I don't know that.
Well, even he says that Keanu Reeves was the better fit for Neo.
Yeah.
But this was another thing. Well, no, Keanu had already done Speed by that point.
Yeah,
that's true.
But he wasn't. You didn't really think of Keanu Reeves as an action hero at that point either, except for the one thing. But it's odd to think of, because there's not a lot of wisecrackery in The Matrix, and I feel like Will Smith would have had to do that. He would have been like, "No, it's my thing. I gotta throw something in." But
well, there is some deadpan wisecrackery by Agent Smith.
Sure. Now, but let's talk about the Wild Wild West, and we may be talking about it at Live Action Dragon Con at one of our roller panels, but we only have 5 minutes then. And so right now, and maybe 5 minutes is all it deserves. I don't recall. It's been a very long time since I've seen it. I don't remember disliking it actively like everyone else on the planet, I believe, did at the time and since. Now, I liked the original show with Robert Conrad also.
Yeah,
and that's why I didn't like the movie.
And it's very clearly not that, because the original Wild Wild West was like Briscoe County Jr. in later years.
Yeah.
It was a Western with horror and sci-fi in it, which had never been done before.
It was one of the earliest steampunk movies, though. Technically, it was one of the earliest steampunk movies.
So we had all that, and then Will Smith turned it into it was kind of like a Will Ferrell situation where you had this pre-existing thing, and Will Smith turned it into a Will Smith thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that was the downfall of the movie. Jonathan, are you a Wild Wild West mega fan?
I'm not even sure I ever saw it, but again, he did the theme song. I like the theme song.
I also like the theme song.
Mostly because it kind of incorporated the Kool Moe Dee Wild Wild West song.
Which is objectively and subjectively a far better song.
Yeah.
But I believe he did get Kool Moe Dee. So at least he shared the love with Mr. Moe Dee.
Yeah.
One of my
very
favorites.
cool.
I love Kool Moe Dee. He didn't have to put cool in his name. We knew he was
with a K.
Exactly, cool with a K. He didn't have to put cool in there. We already knew he was cool. But the Now, again, but here's the thing. I think Wild Wild West had the plan was to do the Will Smith thing. Will Smith and an established mainstream-ish actor.
Well, at this point,
Kevin.
Yeah. Although at this point, he pretty much was king of the box office. He'd had that huge string of hits. I mean, he was, he'd reached that level, top box office.
Yeah, he was there, and he was already there. And but this was his first. And I don't really remember. Did it bomb, or did people just dislike it? I don't.
It was a mild success, but it was.
It wasn't what they expected.
How many dump trucks of money they had to bring to Kenneth Branagh to get him to take the heel turn in that movie?
Yeah,
that is correct. Yeah.
I mean, it made money. Its budget was $170 million. It made $220 million, but they were expecting it to do what the other Will Smith movies had done, which was way above that. And so I think and also I remember a lot of people were just like, it just wasn't as good as the others. So I think that was the first time he kind of took a dip.
Maybe they were afraid of the giant spider.
Yeah.
It was a giant steampunk spider, though. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of the movie. I could completely flush the rest of it. The spider I liked.
Yeah, the part that I hated is the fact that the western town they blew up was a icon of cinema backlot. I mean, it was in Silverado. It was in a whole bunch of westerns, and they just destroyed it for the climax of the movie. And I'm like, man, you're just destroying a piece of cinema history here.
What? I didn't know anything about this.
They were probably clearing it off to make more parking lot.
Probably.
That's what they do a lot of times.
Lame. But right after this, though, he got right back on the business. And once we crossed over into the Willennium,
wasn't the name of one of his albums?
Yep.
That is why we titled it that. Okay. He did the album was called Willennium, and I believe that the song that I recall was the name of the song was Willennium, and he said, "We're gonna party like it's 1990." Oh wait, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Will 2K was the name of that song. Because the whole Y2K thing, everyone was super worried about the Y2K situation.
That's true. Yep. Yeah, that's true.
But Will Smith got us through it.
Indeed. Yep. Came out November 16th, 1999, one day before my birthday. I like to think Will was thinking of me.
I think he was. Willennium. Let's look at the. Let's see. Willennium had the following songs: "I'm Coming," Will 2K, "Freaking It," and "Da Butta" featuring Lil Kim, "So Fresh" featuring Biz Markie and Slick Rick. Oh my gosh, that sounds great! And "Pump Me Up" featuring the Fresh Prince and Mr. DJ Jazzy Jeff. Good stuff.
Yeah. Now, I do think we have to address Nola's question back at 9:32.
Okay. Yeah. Let me find it. Was Will Smith a Fresh Prince, though? Can we attest to his freshness or his royalty status? This is let's consider this very thoughtfully. Sherman, freshness. We'll come to you as our freshness expert. What do you think about the freshness?
I am far from a freshness expert, but it was a boastful self-titling by a rapper, so it would fit for that regard at least. As for royalty, coming from West Philadelphia, I'm going to say the signs point to maybe not.
Again, yeah, exactly. I think the freshness was more apropos.
Yeah, that was bravado and boast. Yeah, that was boast and bravado. That was typical of many rappers at that point. So yeah.
Well, I think it's like all rap at any point. Not a complaint.
Well, that's true.
But So yeah.
But after that is when he started doing the dramatic turn. He did Ali. He did Men in Black 2 because they threw buckets of money at him.
And why not? Exactly.
Yeah.
He also
Bad.
did. Well, actually, earlier than that, he did Bad Boys 2.
Yes.
Also pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, right after the Willennium happened, he was nominated for an Oscar. So the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was nominated for an Oscar. And for a while there, I think by this time we were long past the, oh, that's weird. Now it's, of course he's nominated for an Oscar. He's Will Smith.
Has he won an Oscar?
I don't know that he won.
He has not won, but he has been nominated.
I'm going to see.
He has been nominated for the Golden Globes 5 times and twice for the Oscars, and he has 4 Grammys.
Well, you know what? I'll allow it. The winner that year that Will Smith was nominated, the winner of that year was Denzel Washington for Training Day. So I'll allow it.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
And the other nomination was for Pursuit of Happiness, which was 2006 when he kind of did he wasn't exactly out, but it was, I remember a lot of people thinking of it as a comeback because he'd been doing, Shark Tale or iRobot.
Yeah, and he kept doing music. I think it was less and less frequently, but he kept doing music during this time too. And he then did Hancock in let's see, Hancock was in 2008, and I kind of missed it when it was in the theater, and I didn't see it till probably a couple of years later. But it's crazy good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
What do you think of Hancock, Jonathan?
Which one is Hancock?
The one where he's the superhero. And Jason
mm,
Bateman is the PR executive who's like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to make you. I'm going to make people like you.
Jason Bateman's in it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
And
but
Charlize
I'm
Theron.
Oh, okay, well, but
I need to because I like both of them a lot.
no, it's
Charlize
a
Theron
good
was in
flick.
it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
see,
basically what if Superman was a drunk who didn't give a crap.
Yeah, and of course, there's a lots more going on to it, and there's a kind of a twist, but not like a Shyamalan twist. It was more of a kind of thing about halfway in the middle of the movie, but it's good stuff. And then Men in Black 3, which was go ahead. What?
He said, "Call me a-hole one more time," and threw that.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yes.
I just
Very
watched it
Will
this past weekend.
Smithian. And then let's see, for like 8 years, he did. I don't know. I don't think After Earth worked out very well.
No, that was
No, it
a
didn't.
Shyamalan, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Yes, it was actually.
Yeah. Now, Peter David wrote the novelization, which is good. And
Okay.
that's all I have to say about that.
There was there were a lot of allegations that it was a vanity project. With allusions to Scientology in it.
I mean,
Yeah, because
Okay.
the main character is actually Will Smith's son. Will is mainly a supporting character.
I got to say though, in recent years, he has done. I'm not going to say at all that he's fallen off. I think he's because things that he has done in the most recent few years, there's still you see Fresh Prince in it. You still see that Will Smith in the current things that he has done. He's really excellent in Suicide Squad, the first Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah, Suicide Squad and I Am Legend, which we haven't talked about yet either. Really good for good stuff.
Let's talk about I Am Legend.
Yes, the vampire one.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Well, tell us about it.
Well, it's a remake of a remake or something like that.
It's like the 4th time that movie is told because it's the Richard Matheson novel, which became Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price, then the Omega Man with Chuck Heston.
Damn. That's my impression of Chuck Heston. But they never called it what it was actually called until Will Smith did it. But good flick, good old timey Twilight Zone episode style sci-fi movie.
Yep, and as Ryan Schweck points out, the theatrical release changes the ending of the story, which kind of takes away the whole point of the title.
Yeah.
So if you can, they actually did I don't know if it's a director's cut where they put it back in, or if it's just here's a deleted scene with the actual ending, and that's much better.
I remember this. Yeah. So yeah, no spoilers, but the one you get, seek out the other version. So let's talk about. And I think people a lot of people now are remembering the first Suicide Squad movie because the next one is now coming out.
Right.
But did they put Will Smith in it because they thought this is all we got? We don't know if this is going to work.
I think they wanted him to be the core. I mean, you got Will freaking Smith, and he's a very cool character. And I think he was the one that it was supposed to go or be based around for the future spinoffs.
I think, they wanted him to be the next guy for the DC universe. Yeah. And
then Joe Manganiello took the role in Batman versus Superman.
That's true. Right. Yeah. Well,
and I kept hoping they would stick with Will. I mean, I can understand him going, "No, I'm out," but I don't have any information on why he's not back in it. But
I felt like they wanted the first Suicide Squad movie to be Will Smith and then I think Harley Quinn kind of came along and took over the flick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Although Smith is good in it. I love his performance as Deadshot. I think he's a great character.
And I thought it more effectively did the DC Universe stuff than we had just gotten Batman v Superman at that point. It had just come out, or recently at that point.
As our good friend Michael Bailey puts it, Batman versus dumpster fire.
Yes. Indeed. But this movie alluded to Superman's death. Batman is in it for a little bit. The Flash is in it for a little bit. I mean, the first Suicide Squad is very much the DC universe that I wanted to see on the big screen.
That movie would have done much better if they had done a virtual live action translation of the original cartoon version that they had done instead of what they did, because it was all over the place and it suffered from DC trying too hard to catch up with Marvel in making a cinematic universe.
That's always been their issue, Mm-hmm. And they had Will Smith, man. Yeah. How do you mess that up?
Yeah, and the other important thing to note is Suicide Squad is the reason that he didn't do the Independence Day sequel, because he was doing Suicide Squad, and his actual quote on that was also, he said, doing the ID4 sequel would be like clinging and crawling backwards.
Yeah, I love this that Ryan said.
Yeah.
Maybe don't, if you're working on a movie, maybe wait and get tattoos a little while.
Yeah, wait until it's a success first. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe everybody gets together for lunch after instead of
have lunch and then you decide. Okay, yeah, the movie's a hit. Now we'll get
now let's all go get the tattoos. Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't know that I can.
There were a lot of women that dressed up as Harley Quinn at Dragon Con the year after in 2017.
The thing is, there already were, but now they had a new costume. But now they have the Margot Robbie version.
Yeah.
And you thought there were a lot of Harley Quinns at Dragon Con before then, and now it's like boom again. Not a complaint.
Yeah. And then just rounding out his career after that we had he did the Genie in the Aladdin live action. Sure. He did Gemini Man with Ang Lee. and
Kind of the same
Spies in
situation as I'm Legend.
Yep. And then Spies in Disguise was, I think, his most recent, where the voice acting against Tom Holland, which I still haven't seen it, but I hear it's okay.
And in between that, he did a Netflix movie, which I think should have been a bigger deal. It was the same director as the first Suicide Squad, David Ayer.
Yes.
It's called Bright, and it's kind of a magical, a combo of magic and sci-fi.
It's Training Day of the Rings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually liked Bright.
Mm-hmm.
And
Uncle Owen was in it.
See?
Yeah.
Uncle Owen. And everybody's good in it. I feel like it could have been, let's see, Ryan says they're making a sequel. And good.
Right. It was a Netflix, it was a direct Netflix, and it was a success as Netflix measures them. So,
well, you don't think of, maybe that was one of the first, I believe, movies that Netflix just said, well, we're just going to do it ourselves. Or one of the first direct to Netflix movies that wasn't of the ilk of a Connecticut Christmas. Or I'm just making that up. I'm guessing that there was a movie. I don't know if there was a movie called A Connecticut Christmas, but I bet there was. Anywho, I'm glad they're making a sequel to it because that's fun stuff. So Will Smith, still out there, still doing good stuff.
Yep, still making music.
Still making music. Everybody download his things. Watch his awesome videos.
Yep, and his autobiography is actually planned to come out in November of this year. And oddly enough, the title of the book is Will.
Come on.
Yeah,
man.
Well, and I think that's fitting, though, because one of the things that's always impressed me about him, and I think why he became the titan of pop culture, was basically his willpower. He, I hate using the word over and over again because it's his name, but he willed himself to be a major rapper. He willed himself to be a TV star. I mean, he got the job for Fresh Prince after the IRS had basically confiscated most of his life because, we became a rich rapper and forgot to pay his taxes, like Willie Nelson.
Sure.
And so
another rich rapper.
Yes, another rich rapper. But he was definitely, hey, Lister mate, saw you last night. He was just like, there was a quote of his where he was talking about he loves to do running with other people because he sees where they stop. And then he knows, okay, if I have to do better than you, I know I need to go further than this. Nice. And he's willing to do that. He's willing to, like Lola says in the comments, he can hustle. He is just determined, and he became a star because he was going to become a star.
Exactly. Yeah. So 100% good stuff. So let's go around the horn and everybody tell everybody out there in Internet Wonderland where on the interwebs you can be found. Jonathan. Oh, okay. Well, Jonathan,
he can be found apparently.
Too, wherever it is, he can be found.
He can be found at Wrestling with Pop Culture.
Yes, Google Wrestling with Pop Culture, and you can find Jonathan there. And we will see him in live action at Dragon Con, I believe. And our buddy Sherman, tell us where people can find you.
Okay, I've also got to ask Sherman: is that a cat or a cow?
It's a hamster.
Oh, I was completely.
Okay.
I can be found at Nerdburger358 on Instagram, Pinterest, Twitch, and some other stuff. I can be found, and Sherman Burris on Facebook. And let's see, on Saturday, August the 7th at 8 p.m., I will be on Con Carolina's TV taking part in a Star Wars trivia contest.
Oh,
nice.
Awesome.
I will post a link to that if I can in the Dragon Con.
Yeah, do that.
Post it in there.
Heck yeah.
Okay, I will do that.
I think you're going to crush it, Sherman. You're one of the American Sci-Fi Classics Track people. We never lose.
Right. And now that you're back, Jonathan, where can they find you online?
Hopefully it doesn't drop me this time. You can find me at wrestlingwithpopculture.com, or you can find Wrestling with Pop Culture on Facebook and Instagram, and on Twitter I'm at WrestlePop, CULTR.
Indeed. And Mr. Gary Mitchel, where can you be found, sir?
Well, I can be found here on the Twitters at Gary_Mitchel, Mitchell with 1 L. Last night, you could have found me along with that guy on Super Geeked Up with our good friend Jeff. You can also find me on, I think, the most recent episode of Execute Chapter 66 with Mr. Ryan Schweck, where I had an interview with Mr. Timothy Zahn, godfather of the Star Wars Expanded Universe. And you can find me here every Thursday night with that man.
It's a me.
And I will see him in person at DragonCon. Get down here.
And you will also see me in live action at DragonCon with Mr. Gary Mitchel, my unindicted co-conspirator. And you can find me on the Instagrams at Sci-Fi Classics Track. You can find our this thing you're watching on YouTube. You can find it right here
Every week.
If you're looking for us on YouTube, here we are. Hey, and if you're watching us on the Facebook, hey, you found us. We're at facebook.com/groups/American Sci-Fi Classics. And if you enjoy, as Jonathan does, Jonathan wrestles with pop culture, I am an actual pro wrestling announcer at Spartan Wrestling on the Facebook. And we are live every Saturday. Worth the road trip from wherever you people are to come see me knock it out of the park at pro wrestling shows. Yes, Sherman.
I have a trivia question for the wrestling guys to see if you guys know it. What's the connection between the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and wrestling?
The connection?
Yes.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and wrestling.
DJ Jazzy Jeff just won the 24/7 championship?
No. Actually, it's Uncle Phil. James Avery was the voice of the Junkyard Dog on Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling.
That's good to know. He was also the voice of Shredder, which ties into next week's panel.
Who was portrayed by Kevin Nash.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the Fresh Prince that was a connection. It was Uncle Phil.
That's right. Uncle Phil's the man.
Yeah. Multiple wrestling connections.
Tons of cartoon voices.
So next week,
Gary, what are we doing next week?
Next week we are doing Go Ninja. Go Ninja. It's 30 years of TMNT 2, The Secret of the Ooze.
We know the secret. Next week we're telling you. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for spending some time with us. We will talk to you very, very soon. On behalf of everybody at the American Sci-Fi Classics Track, stay safe. And you guys are the coolest for hanging out with us. We will see you all very soon. And join us next week when Gary Mitchel will say,
if it oozes that much, you really should consult a physician.
I really just wanted to end it on Sherman. I wanted to get Sherman. Thank you guys very much.